להיות תנא דבי אליהו, כל השונה הלכות בכל יום מוכרח לא שבין העולם הבא, שנאמר הליכות עולם לא עתיקי הליכות אלא הלכות.
חזק וברוך. Welcome to the next minyan. Boker Tov, Rabbi. We talked yesterday about a person has to stand up for the elderly and for the Talmid Chacham. So the question is like this, does he have to stand up all the way, or does he have to stand up, just a little bit, give him hidur? You know what's hidur? Like, you get off the seat a little bit, having a trouble getting out of your seat, having trouble standing up. Which way does he have to do? So the truth is, the halacha says that a person has to stand up all the way when you have to stand up. When it says you have to stand up, that means you got to get up all the way. Not halfway, not quarter of the way. That's not the way it's done. So it's an interesting story about this, by the way, brought down, that there was two big chachamim that were in Yerushalayim about 50 years ago. One of them was Rabbi Salman Mutzafi, which was the father of Rabbi Ben Zion Mutzafi that's alive today, one of the big Mekubalim. And also we had Rabbi Tzadka Hussein. They were both from Iraqi rabbis, So Rabbi Mutzafi, Rabbi Salman Mutzafi, was a Talmid of Rabbi Hussein. So what happened was that one time they were learning this in Kiddushin, Masachet Kiddushin, about Kibud Avim, how you have to stand up for your parents. So what happened was that they learned that you have to stand up all the way. That's what he told them, Rabbi. So not halfway, not quarter of the way. That's not the way you do it, You got to stand up all the way. So what happened was that next day, when Salman Mutzafi, he was a little kid at that time. We call him Salman, he wasn't a rabbi at that time. So he came to Rabbi Tzadka Hussein the next day. Rabbi Tzadka Hussein asked him, he said, let me ask you, we learned yesterday, remember, about you have to stand up all the way for your parents? He says, did you do what I told you when your mother passed by? Did you stand up all the way in your house? So he tells him, he says, Rabbi, I have to tell you, I didn't really stand up all the way. I just did like a little bit. I was glued to my chair, There was some glue there, I think, I couldn't get up all the way. What can I do, So Rabbi Tzadka Hussein, he told him like this. He says, he shut the Gemara like this. Puch! Chach! He says, we're not going to learn anymore. I'm not teaching you anymore. Why? Because you don't keep what I tell you. If you don't keep what I tell you, why do I have to teach you Torah? For what? Understand? You got to keep what it. So he told him like this, be careful. Next time, don't do this. Until you did teshuvah, he said, I'm not going to teach you any more Torah. That's what he told him. So you see from there that a person has to stand up all the way. Whether it's for the parents or for the chacham or for the elder as well. Not halfway. So then, what's this halfway business, which we call hidur? You give him a little hidur, a little bit, a sign of kavod. What is it? Where does that apply? It does apply in certain cases. You know when that applies? When you have two chachamim, and they're both big chachamim, right? So they're both chachamim. So therefore, when one comes into the room and the other one is sitting, he doesn't have to get up all the way because he's also chacham. You know what I mean? So therefore, just gives him a little hidur, a little bit to show, oh yeah, I respect you. You're also chacham. Yeah, exactly. Give him a little bit hidur. That's what they do. This is the custom. This is the way they do it. One chacham to the other, or let's say also, for instance, let's say one of them is chacham and the other one is an elder. So the question is, when the elder comes in, and comes next to the chacham, does the chacham have to stand, or for the elder, or not? So same thing, right? It says in the halakha, you have to give him a little hidur, a little bit, show him a little kavod. You don't have to get up all the way. Why? Because chacham, the truth is, he's more mechubad than the elder. He's more honorable than the elder. So therefore he doesn't have to get up from all the way. But the elder has to get up all the way for the chacham, because the chacham is bigger than him, more important. The question is, they asked it in Chazal, by the way, this question, very, very important question. Especially for our community, we have some issues with this. The question is like this: if it comes to a conflict between your father and your chacham and your rabbi, who do you have to give more kavod? Who do you give more kavod? To your rabbi. You have to give more kavod to your rabbi than your father. So the Chazal say, what's the reason? What's the reason for this? Because your father brings you to olam hazeh. Your rabbi brings you to olam haba. Who's more important? What do you think? What? That's the thing. Yeah.
But it's also if the father is your teacher.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. If your father is a chacham, that's something else, obviously, right? That's a different story, of course. But I'm saying, your father is a regular guy, like most of us, We don't have rabbis, our fathers are rabbis, what I mean? Our big chachamim. So therefore, we have to give more. So what does that mean? Let's say, for instance, your rabbi lost an item, and your father lost an item. Hashabat Tabedah. Who do you have to return first? To your rabbi you have to return first. And then your father, because you have to give more kavod to your rabbi. Your rabbi brings you to olam haba. This is the way it is, Also, another one I want to tell you is that what about the case where let's say there's a darash, there's a lecture going on, right? There's a lecture, okay, and the chacham is giving a lecture, okay. So what happens is that now when the rabbi is giving a lecture, darash comes in another chacham, So do you have to stand for that chacham who came in to the lecture, because of his kavod? So over there, the rule is like this. It says in the Shulchan Aruch that if that Chacham who's giving the lecture, gives him kavod by standing, you should also stand. But if he does not give him kavod, because he's bigger than him, he's not on the same level, this guy who came in, So you're not allowed to give him kavod either. So that's the rule, If he gives him kavod, you give him kavod. If he doesn't give him kavod, you don't also give him kavod. So what does that mean? Even though he's a Talmid Chacham, this guy, but doesn't compare to the one who's giving the shiur. This is exactly what happened with Maran, When Maran was giving a lecture one time in Yechabadat in Yerushalayim, what happened was that walked in his son, one of his sons, and he's also Talmid Chacham. You know what I mean? So the question is, do you get up for his son, when he comes? And some people got up, but the truth is, according to halakha, you're not supposed to get up. Because you think Maran gets up for his son, when his son comes into the room, he doesn't get up for him. He's a Talmid. Talmid is a Talmid. So therefore, just like he didn't get up for him because he's Talmid, you should not get up. Because why? If you get up for him when he comes in the middle of the lecture, you're giving more kavod to him than to the Chacham who's giving the lecture. This is the problem, You understand? Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen, amen.